Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're specifically going to talk about the types of stories we're telling and how that may need to shift, based on our own knowledge from the 20th century. All right, so let's jump into this. So I recently watched an absolutely amazing television show. It was called The Offer, and what it is it's a historical retelling of how The Godfather got made. The movie The Godfather got made. So this is actually, so Paramount, who has Paramount Plus, which is one of the competitor streaming services, made this an entire series just talking about how The Godfather got made, and it is an absolutely, it's one of the best small screen series I've ever watched. It was absolutely amazing. And I highly recommend it for all dungeon masters over the age of 18. But it had a powerful lesson contained in the show that came from the real world occurrence, right? So the entire show is about Robert Evans, okay, and the person who plays Robert Evans is Miles Teller. And he does a fantastic job with this role. It's one of the best roles he's ever been in. And also, if you don't know, Miles Teller is just like, he's crushing it right now. I think he's becoming a new movie star. And actually, he was just in Top Gun Maverick, and he played Goose's son, and he really, really did a fantastic job there. But in The Offer, he is playing the producer of The Godfather, and this entire show is about what the character that he plays, Robert Evans, did. Robert Evans is the producer for The Godfather, and this show is all about producers. It's what do they do, and what producers do is they knock down obstacles to getting movies made, right? And the reality is, and once you watch the show, you will see that there are 1,000 obstacles to movies getting made. Now, as a dungeon master, what you need to be aware of, and one of the reasons why you should watch this, is there are 1,000 obstacles to your story being told, right? And actually, when I say there's air quotes around that, because every Dungeons & Dragons story belongs to 4 sources, in my humble opinion. Every Dungeons & Dragons story belongs to you, the dungeon master, belongs to the artist. You're the artist who's setting up the initial creation of this story, okay? So, you, the artist, the dungeon master, your players, the experiencers of that story, who are also going to impact that story, it belongs to them. It belongs to the math rocks. It belongs to dice. It belongs to fate. That's the third source that every Dungeons & Dragons story belongs to. And last, every single Dungeons & Dragons story, in my humble opinion, every single Dungeons & Dragons story, in my humble opinion, every single Dungeons & Dragons story ever told or ever will be told belongs to Gary Gygax. He had, Gary Gygax had three sets of years. He had his fire years from 1974 to 1986, where he was the primary mover and shaker on Dungeons & Dragons. He had his fallow years, the years between 1986 and 2008 when he died. Those were fallow years. He created virtually nothing in those years, and I think they were incredibly difficult for him. And we're in his fallen years now, and so every story you create with Dungeons & Dragons would not exist without Gary Gygax. And so, in my humble opinion, he has ownership of, just like the math rocks, just like your players, just like you, he's in the mix, and he is an owner of every Dungeons & Dragons story. And so basically, there's 1,000 obstacles to your story being told, your air quotes. Just saying that for simplicity's sake. And so, and the offer really showed that. But here's the meat of this video. There's a point in the film where Robert Evans is fighting to get this movie made. He has to fight against Paramount. He has to fight against, the film says that he fought quite literally against the Italian mafia, right? And he had to fight against the American government, right? There were so many sources aligned so that The Godfather would not be made. And he had to pull this thing through to creation. And during this, when he was fighting with, the the movie is very long. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And there's a point where Paramount wanted to cut it, and they just wanted to shred to pieces Francis Ford Coppola's cut, his longer cut of the film, and they wanted to just kind of shred it down, throw away some really critical aspects where if the movie had been cut shorter, it's logical that it is logical that The Godfather would just been disappeared off the map and nobody would ever cared about it, because it wasn't a good cut, and the heart of the film would have been cut out, right? And things don't live without a heart, right? So Charlie Broodhorn is the owner of Paramount, and Barry Lapidus was the head of filmmaking at Paramount. And Robert Evans, the producer for The Godfather, when Charlie Broodhorn is saying to him, "Hey, I want to gut this film. I want to just take it from, from 2 hours and 45 minute Francis Ford Coppola cut, and I want to take it down to an hour and 45 minute, Paramount cut, which is going to be very short and concise, right?" And he says to them, "Listen." And Robert Evans says to Charlie Broodhorn and Barry Lapidus, sometimes we cannot show people what they want to see. We need to show them what they need to see, right? And he was saying, and it's a deep saying that has a lot of meaning. And he was saying, hey, I know you want this to be a in and out, shoot 'em up gangster movie, just like it's been made 100 times already, right? And this is going to be easy to consume for the people, and they're going to be in and out, they're going to enjoy their soda and their popcorn, and they're going to forget that Godfather existed 48 hours after seeing it, maybe 24, right? But I'm trying to do something different here. I'm trying to show the mafia in, he was saying, Italian people who do crime in a different light. And I want people to understand how, people get to the point where they're doing crimes, but they also love their family, and they are also complex, layered humans, right? And people didn't, no one at the time was saying, I want a 2 hour and 45 minute gangster movie. No one was saying that, right? What they wanted to see was an hour and 45 minute gangster movie. And Robert Evans was saying, no, you don't get this, right? I'm going to deny you, American public. I'm going to deny you a 1 hour and 45 minute gangster film, and I'm going to deliver you a 2 hour and 45 minute gangster film that you didn't ask for, right? Because I can't give you what you want. I need to give you what you need, all right? You are a dungeon master. What are you doing at your table? Are you giving people the story they want? Let's cut some goblins in half. Or are you giving them the story they need? Stories that take the mirror of Dungeons and Dragons and flip it and make the players look at themselves as human beings, not their player characters, but themselves, and say, hey, are you murder hoboing in this game? What's wrong with you? Where are you at? What do you need to fundamentally fix with yourself, right? Not just allowing a murder hobo to come forward in your game and make choices that are ethically questionable, but stopping them, narratively, right? And saying, okay, I see you have your greatsword and you're going to cut another goblin in half, but you know what? The fight's already over, and most of the goblins are already fleeing, right? I know you're going to cut this goblin in half because it's going to get your XP higher, because the challenge rating is higher, and there's a challenge rating XP value on this. But you need to look at yourself. What's wrong with you, Sarah, that you're cutting this goblin in half when there's no need to? You, the dungeon master, I'm Scott Garibay, right? And I think that Dungeons & Dragons is more than anyone knows it is. And I'm challenging you to do what Robert Evans did with The Godfather. You have a responsibility with the story you are telling this Sunday at your Dungeons & Dragons table. Don't let it be what they want. Make it what they need. Do more, be more. Take Dungeons & Dragons farther. That's my challenge to you. That's my humble opinion. I'd love to hear your humble opinion on this subject. Did you see the offer? It's not easy to see. It's over on Paramount Plus, but it truly is worth your time if you get the time. Well, that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.